I want to thank you. I know it's not, a total victory for the people of New England. And, many of the cities and towns still have these mask mandates. But thank you for lifting the state mask mandate in New Hampshire.
Well, sure. Look, the victory is the fact that we've dropped the fatality rate 95% in just the last couple months. We're one of the fastest, among the fastest in the country to get the vaccine out, and that's really what's driving this. It's all the data-driven decisions, and again, by lifting the mask mandate, and then obviously all the other business restrictions going away in just a couple weeks here, it really opens up a ton of opportunity for an awesome summer, and we're going to have a great summer. It's New Hampshire. We're going to have a booming summer, and it's weird. It's already May, right? We're kind of almost there.
Almost.
So people are excited. They're coming, and again, we've just done. I just have an awesome team here. We've done a great job getting the vaccine out, and we get to reap the benefits of that a little bit.
Now, so some of the listeners and viewers are frustrated because they were excited like all of us were when you announced this, but that the mask mandate was going away, but they live in cities or towns where the mayor or the town administrator has still still has a mask mandate in effect. If you, like Concord, for instance, where you're probably calling from right now, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, local control. Look, we are a local control state, and pre-pandemic, cities and towns have always had the ability to put in certain stipulations for public health, and that continues during the pandemic. It'll continue after the pandemic. So, if that's what they want to do and that's their choice, and then it is their choice. We've never stepped on those toes. Private businesses, right? I mean, Walmart, my guess, is going to have a mask mandate for a long time, or McDonald's, or whatever it might be. Folks have the ability to manage themselves. That's the whole point of not having big government from the state level come down and with an iron hammer and force it on folks. So we're taking the steps we need to take at the state level, but we're a local control state, limited government, local control, low taxes, all that kind of good stuff that makes up the New Hampshire advantage.
Have you talked to any of the mayors of the big cities, or that still have the mask mandates, like Concord, Portsmouth, et cetera?
Yeah. I talk to a handful of the mayors all the time, and again, they, some of them are college towns, so they're nervous about the college students because some of them aren't. They're kind of the last in line because they're the youngest crowd to be fully vaccinated.
And the least in danger too, and the least in danger.
Well, yeah, then that's exactly right, and that's why we all our schools are open 5 days a week. As of yesterday, we opened every single school across the state, which is great. And one thing I just tell them is, look, you can have local mandates in place. That's your right to do so. But what's your end game, right? We look at data. We don't make decisions on political whims or putting our finger up into the wind. What's the data you're going to use to get out of it? You always have to have an end game here, and so that's just the one area where I caution folks. I think within a month or two, the cases are going to be incredibly low. The fatality rate is going to keep being, maybe one or two fatalities a day tops. I think we're just going to be in such a much better place. I said, you got to think to the future, not just look at what's immediately in front of you.
Now, have you spoken to the governor of Massachusetts or the governor of Maine about this? They're kind of dead enders, as Donald Rumsfeld used to say about Saddam Hussein supporters.
Yeah, I talked to Governor Baker. I talked to Governor Scott in Vermont. I have not talked to Governor Mills in a minute. What
did your fellow Republicans, Baker and Scott, say?
Well, there's different dynamics in Massachusetts and Vermont, and so not just the political dynamics of it, but different data. We have a much lower fatality rate than you find in Massachusetts. Vermont's case numbers are still going pretty aggressively. So again, I don't criticize other governors for how they handle the pandemic. Every state is so different. It's not Republican or Democrat. So
I can only say.
Well, look, I can just speak for New Hampshire. Our data is great. Our vaccine administration is super fast. And as you know, as of yesterday, if you're in Massachusetts, you can come up and get a vaccine in New Hampshire. I mean, we're one of the first places in the country we're taking out-of-staters to get the vaccine. That's how fast we've been with it. And that's one of the reasons we can just be a little more flexible than other states. So I get a little, people want to compare things to DeSantis, what's going on in Florida, or Gavin Newsom in California, or Charlie, or myself. I mean, every state's different, and so we don't talk about why are you doing this or that. We sometimes compare notes on data and some of the tricks we use to get the vaccine out quickly.
We're speaking to Governor Chris Sununu in New Hampshire, who became the first New England governor to end the mask mandate statewide. When do you think who will be the next governor in New England or the Northeast to end the mask mandate? In your humble opinion?
I think Connecticut. It looks like Connecticut came out with something. It's one of those things where regionally, when one state goes, it kind of creates a domino effect for other states. And I think Connecticut might be coming out with removing theirs in just a few weeks. I don't know about Maine, and I think Massachusetts and Vermont are on a little more of a longer time scale. But I'm really not 100% sure. They just have to kind of look at their data and make their decisions. It's not New York, I'll tell you that. Out of the Northeast states, it ain't going to be New York.
You saw Governor Cuomo said yesterday that arguably New York did the best job of any state in the union. That's not what the stats say, is it, Governor Sununu?
Oh my goodness, no. Again, I'm going to do my best not to criticize, but I think it's the issues within, the Big Apple there are well documented. Let's just say that they are well documented, and I can imagine any of the citizens in New York would be very frustrated with the results, given where they are with the pandemic. So,
are you running for the Senate against Maggie Hassan next year?
What's that? I couldn't hear you.
Are you running for the Senate?
I know. No, look, I don't know. Something I had not considered before. I'm leaving the door a little bit open, but we're almost through the pandemic. I got a budget to pass, some legislation I got to work with. So I got my hands full for the next 2 or 3 months. I'll make that decision this summer. I will. I know that I have to decide what I'm doing so everyone else kind of figures out where it all falls in line. But the door's open. But, I'm a governor. I love being a governor. I love being an executive. The Senate and Congress, both sides, House and Republican, they don't do anything. They don't do anything, and no one can claim any sort of moral high ground on that aspect. I think there's hypocrites on both sides. I think they all talk out of both sides of their mouth, and too many of them are more revved up on how to get on TV every night than actually getting something done. And as a governor who's been through the grind and just is always trying to create opportunities, sounds really boring to me. So I don't know. Being the 51st vote, I got to tell you, to stop some of this craziness that we never thought would happen, there's an incredible importance to that. And so that's something one of the reasons I guess I am considering it, because I don't think any of us thought what is coming out of Washington would have ever happened. But here we are. And it just takes one person to stand up in D.C. and say enough is enough. And maybe if I can be that person, maybe it's something to consider.
Wow, that sounds like like you're leaning in that direction. Did you tell me once, or did I read that your wife was not too crazy about going to D.C.?
Oh, my wife hates what I do. Are you kidding? Valerie's too smart. She grew up in inner city Chelsea, Mass. She is too smart to like politics. And God bless her. She keeps me very grounded, as she should. But it's really hard. Public life is very hard on the family. And I knew that growing up. But, even when I grew up and my dad was governor, we didn't have social media or just what you see now. This people just cross boundaries. They take things to the nth level on both sides. To the nth level. The fact that we had protests outside my house with my family, completely unnecessary, and that kind of stuff. It's really crossing a boundary that should have never been crossed. And so, yeah, that affects family members in all aspects of public life. And my wife doesn't. When you're a first lady, you have to kind of stay quiet and you can't say what you want to say. But she grew up in Chelsea, and like anyone in Chelsea, she has a lot of pride and she's a fighter. She wants to push back, but it's hard to kind of refrain during those times when people are being so personal. We
have a new affiliate today in New Mexico. They don't know what you're talking about with Chelsea. I'll explain it to you someday, New Mexico, what it's like, what Chelsea is like. Hey, how about the lawsuit against the state of Massachusetts? They're still grabbing income taxes out of people from New Hampshire. You've been joined by a bunch of different states, and even though I'm still technically a Massachusetts resident for a few more months, I'm with you 100%, and so are most people in Massachusetts. Tell us why you're suing the Commonwealth.
Yeah, look, people that have been working remotely haven't used a single utility or service or road or glass of water or whatever out of Massachusetts. They're still paying income tax like they are. Massachusetts is going to grab them, even though they work completely remotely. Well, that's obviously, it violates the Constitution in a variety of ways. A lot of states have joined us in the lawsuit against it, against the state, and I think we'll win. The Supreme Court has to decide whether to take it up, and that literally should happen. We'll know whether they decide or not in the next next couple of weeks. But all indicators are that they're going to take it up, and we feel very confident going forward. You can't be. It's one thing to grab another state's income tax, but we don't even have income tax. People ask us for income tax. We have to ask for a definition of what that really means. We don't even understand those concepts here.
What happens if Massachusetts passes the so-called millionaires tax next year and basically doubles the income tax sooner or later on everybody in the state? What's that going to do for New Hampshire?
Well, I got to tell you, my real estate market can't get any hotter, but you're going to see people flooding into this state left and right, as they already are from California and Minnesota and New York, Illinois. I mean, the real estate market can't get any hotter here. People are buying homes sight unseen for twice their value. Businesses are coming here left and right. No, we've become... if anything, COVID has let us really stand out from the crowd a little bit more. And unfortunately, whatever's going on in Massachusetts, the TCI stuff, they're still pushing TCI down there.
I know. This is the
gas tax. You know what that's?
I know.
Every border town you're going to lose all the business in Massachusetts on every border town to New Hampshire, because everyone's going to be coming up here they're already coming for groceries and DraftKings and
Newports.
For alcohol. Now they're going to be coming up for Newports, but now they're going to be coming up just for the gas. It's going to be not just a few dimes different. You're talking huge differences, and that makes a big difference in commuters' lives. There's no doubt.
New Mexico, I'll explain TCI to you too, but you better pull over to the side of the road before I explain TCI, because we can't even believe it in Massachusetts and most of the other states. Governor Chris Sununu, we really appreciate you being with us, and again, thank you for doing this, and you're getting the ball rolling. We got to get back to a normal existence here, and we appreciate it.
Without a doubt. This is the path. Thanks so much for the time, Howie. Be good.
Thank you. Thanks. That's Governor Chris Sununu of New Hampshire. He sounds like he's leaning towards running against Maggie Hassan, and you heard his campaign, which is, stop the madness, get a 51st Republican in there. Last summer, I had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but was reminded again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer and a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. We're in a climate right now where a lot of people don't want to go into the city. Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols they have taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Believe it or not, many of these protocols make it a more pleasant experience to visit the dentist, and you definitely do not want to let your dental health decline in this mess that we're in right now, because it'll lead to pain, it'll lead to great expenses. You just don't need it, and especially when it's so easy to get to Nashua, New Hampshire, and now there's so many more reasons to go there too. To see for yourself and to get your perfect smile, call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE. Dr. Bruce Houghton's the best dentist I've ever seen, the best dentist that's ever worked on my mouth. You can see for yourself, and you can also see my video at perfectsmiles.com. Perfect Smiles, change your smile, change your life. I'm Howie Carr.
Got hate mail?
You got anything on your chest besides your chin, you better get it off.
Send it off to Grace at HowieCarrshow.com.